Yeah, I think we have crossed the 5 minute mark, which is like a standard industry wide to wait for everyone to join. So I don't want to punish the people who joined on time, obviously, because you need to have an incentive to come back again. If I keep you waiting for others who are anyway going to come late, who will miss out on something good that they can learn today? I don't want to punish you all. So thank you all for joining. Good afternoon, yet again another Friday evening. And today's topic is presentation skills. And my name is Lakshman Reddy. Some of you are new joining the company. So I'm also heading the finance as global CFO for Lauren Group and Lauren Group of companies. And I'm also driving the initiative of running these training courses on three different areas, which is about corporate skills, personality management, and spiritual foundation. These three topics will be covering. So today is presentation skills. It's part of the corporate skills, and it's about the soft skills, right? So without any more delay, let me go ahead and share the presentation. Okay. So as you can see, yeah, so today's topic is presentation skills. So I'm going to read this brief write-up like I always do, so we can set a context of what we're going to discuss today. So written communication through emails or large documents may delay the feedback decisions from others. Every employee should put forward their points methodically, so every stakeholder understands and agrees to the future course of action. The seminar aims to train how to prepare a PowerPoint presentation with a proper flow and content. It also guides the presenter on how to add emphasis on critical areas, right? So, my dear friends, so we're going to be talking about, as I said, presentation skills. Now, I do want to tell all of you that presentation skills is not about how good you are at PowerPoint, right? There are many people who can go and learn Microsoft PowerPoint in any Microsoft workshop. For that matter, if you go and browse how to learn PowerPoint in YouTube, you'll have a lot of videos, right? And they'll be looking for subscribers. You can subscribe them and they can learn and become an expert in PowerPoint. But that doesn't mean you are even 5% close to what it means to make an effective presentation. It's a myth people carry that effective presentation means good at technology skills. No, it's not good at technology skills, right? Especially when we talk about power pack presentations, right? These are very targeted presentations which are done globally, not only in sales side, but sometimes even to demonstrate a solution to your customers. Don't think that any one of you who is attending this call or seeing this video may or may not use these skills. I can tell you one thing. If I'm not exaggerating, your 80% of your career growth depends on how good you can present. Not only on presentation, I mean to say PowerPoint presentation, but how good you present yourself and present the topic to your seniors, juniors, and peers, right? So presentation is just not applicable for customers. It's applicable internally, externally. So when you want to give a presentation very effectively, the most important person who should be convinced on the content of presentation is you, right? So you have to be convinced that what am I going to present, is it useful or not, right? And if you're not convinced, then you cannot do a presentation. As simple as that. Even if you have the best PowerPoint skills, your best tools, these days there are many tools, animation tools for making presentations, but still the presentation will not touch hearts, will not move their intelligence unless you are convinced, right? So just want to set a context of the objective of today's presentation once again. So, I had done this in bits plan. I'm sorry, I forgot to remove that. So failing to prepare is prepare to fail, right? So this told by Mark Spence. So you have to prepare for your presentations. Today's topic, we're going to be covering what is the power of presentation. First of all, when we say we're going to present, what is its power? What is underlying power behind it, right? And next, basic flaws in presentation today. A lot of people think that they've done a presentation, right? I have personally seen in my career, many people, whether they're from East, West, India, Indian origin or Western origin, everybody makes mistakes in presentation. My dear friends, if you focus today on the areas that I'm going to tell and put even 5% effort on what I'm going to tell, you will be a robust presentation in the market. Because a lot of people don't know how to do proper presentations. And you might ask a question, where did I learn from? I learned it from my seniors. I have seen some very good presenters in my life. And every time I saw somebody presenting effectively, impactfully, I made a note of what are the distinct things they have done. And today's presentation is pretty much a culmination of all those learnings, right? So you would not find this kind of a presentation anywhere in the market, because I'm going to discuss about different strengths of different people when they presented, right? So steps to make a powerful presentations, right? What are the essential steps? Deep dive into planning, preparation, and presenting stage. So three stages are there for becoming a perfect presenter, right? So there are three stages and a lot of things involved in that. So please focus. And I would encourage you to write notes also, because next time when you're going to make a presentation, you can refer to either my video or you can refer to your notes, right? Notes are more powerful because you're going to write them. Essential tips to close a presentation, very important. It's not about it's not how greatly you presented it, but it's also important how good you closed it. How are you concluding on your presentation, and what are the next steps, right? So that's very, very important. We'll be discussing, and of course summary and conclusion. So we have to find out a true assessment of how good a presenter are we, right? So we'll have question and answer. So can I make PowerPoint presentation? Let me find out, right? You all have to find out. That's the point. So why did we even come to this point that we think there is a need to make presentations? Well, there is a requirement. The requirement today is written communication, large documents, nobody has time to read. You can't get the decisions easily. And every employee should be able to put forward the points in a methodical way, so every stakeholder understands and agrees to the future course of action. Right? These are the requirements in the market today. If you're going abroad, or even if you're offshore, you're presenting it to your customer or your internally your team, you should put it in such a methodical way that the opposite party will easily understand your message, right? So our objective in this presentation today is to train you how to prepare a PowerPoint presentation, of course, not with technical skills on PowerPoint that you can learn, but I want to tell the story, the flow, and to guide the presenter how to add emphasis on what is critical, right? And last but not the least, to explain how to stand and deliver a presentation with the satisfaction of the attendees. How do you even stand when you're giving a presentation? What is your body language, right? All that also we'll discuss. So communication program, as I told you, it's a tree of communication. If you remember last time when we did meeting etiquettes, we did power of oral communication. I think we did last week. So this week we are doing communication skills relevant to presentation skills, right? So here is the tree, as I told you, language skills, your verbal, your body, all that together culminate into passion for a subject, which in turn bring clarity, consideration, completeness, conciseness, correctness, and courtesy. All these things come when you have passion for the subject, right? So then it forms faith and trust on which the whole tree stands, right? So basically, unless you have passion for what you're doing, you can't present it properly. You can't communicate properly, right? I'm sure you all agree with this. If you don't believe in it, you can't speak about it, right? What if I say that coronavirus was created naturally and it just spread out throughout the world? Even while I'm saying it, I don't have the I don't have the confidence, but I know it's a big scam how it was created. There's so much proof for it. So if you have passion for it, when you say it, people will accept it. You know what I'm saying? You should believe in what you're saying. So that's called passion for the subject. And when you have passion for the subject, automatically you feel that a lot of people need to know. Out of that comes courtesy, and out of that comes confidence in terms of concreteness and conciseness, completeness also, because you would have done a good work to present it, and consideration and clarity comes because you have passion. So together they stand, it builds faith and trust in self. You have self-confidence, and through that, right, we form the tree of communication. In this tree of communication, as I told, there is left side and right side, which left side is about your success in projects, right side is about your good relationships. So I think with this presentation, we'll be finishing the success in projects aspect, which is oral communication we already completed, meeting etiquettes we already completed. Today we're going to do presentation skills. About the right ones we'll do as the time progresses. So in this seminar, we are dealing with presentation skills, right? Now, all the branches are needed. Mind you, if you all attend all these presentations week on week, you will definitely become a successful communicator, provided you put them to action. It shouldn't happen that you're just hearing the seminars and just closing the subject and saying, you know what, I'll become a presenter automatically. I'll become a good communicator automatically. Nothing happens automatically in this world, right? You have to put your effort in implementing at least one point from each seminar, and then you can see a difference, right? So some of the best presenters, right? How many have seen this person? Can anyone tell me who this is? Does anyone know who this is?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, right? So So Steve Jobs, what did he do? He was a great presenter because he knew exactly how to say a single, everything in a single line, right? When Apple was going down the drains at one point, then he introduced something called as iPod. And the greatest one statement that he made was take your 10,000 songs in your pocket. Right? That was a statement. And that was a statement that moved the world. So that is what we can say as a great presenter. Right? I'm sorry about this. I have to just take this one call. Please. Yeah, sorry about that. That was an important call, so I had to take. Yeah. So one of the great presenters, one of the greatest things about presentation is when you want somebody to ask, what is it that you want to present in the next 2 hours? If you can put it in one sentence, right? You should be able to say that, right? So Steve Jobs' greatest belief, the passion that he carried is, I want everybody to take whatever they want, right, in the form of all the songs in his pocket, right? So that was his passion, right? So he could just present that passion, and then the whole product sold all around the world, right? If you ask me, what am I going to present in the next 2 hours? What is the passion that I carry for this? See, this is what is my passion. I want everybody to express their pain points perfectly so they can get the right solutions, right? I want all of you to express your pain points at your workplace, in your solutions, in your whatever work that you're doing. I want you to express those pain points perfectly so you can get the perfect solution. So that is the driving factor for me to do this presentation, right? So you should be able to have that underlying passion in when you're presenting it, right? It's not about how good PowerPoint presentation you're making. It's a passion for the subject and the need that you carry with it. Are you all following me? Anybody has any questions?
No, we are good to go, Lakshman sir.
So that's the important thing. Remember always, the greatest of the presenters, even when the customer comes, is not about how good PowerPoint slides you made. I'll tell you one classic example. I was managing this project for American Express way back in 2006. Yeah, and no, not 2006. I think it was 2007. Yeah. So during that time, there was a customer visit, right? Now there was a customer visit from US, from Phoenix. There's this, black lady and very enthusiastic. She is like a senior vice president coming from American Express, and I hear she is going to visit many companies because American Express not only gives business to my ex company but also to many other companies. So when she's coming, the whole hall sat down and they were discussing, what, let's let's make this presentation. Let's talk about our testing services. Let's talk about development services. Let's talk about different projects that we have done. Let's have slide for this, slide for that. People were just spending day and night, right? Because they knew if this lady is impressed, she's going to go back and give a 100 million business, right, to each one of these companies. So they are obviously, with the likes of Wipros, IBMs, Infosys, Cognizance, and many other, including my own ex company, they all were eager. Okay, this person is going to come for the client visit. We have to make big presentations, right? Now, I had a very interesting boss at that time. Names apart, he's a South Indian, and I learned a lot of my presentation skills from him. So what he did, he said, see, this lady who is coming, she's coming for the first time to India. And obviously, she's coming for the first time to Chennai, right? I was working in Chennai then. So she's coming for the first time to Chennai. And he and me and we had a brief conversation of what are we going to do. And he had planned a completely different thing for her. So he told, what? what's the point in keeping the customer in a dark room and keep on presenting slides after slides, one after the other, practice after practice, do the presentations from morning 9 o'clock to, evening 6 o'clock. I mean, they'll be cooked, right? I mean, wherever they go. So let's do a thing. Let's do our presentations in a little different way. We'll focus on, we'll focus our customer visit on uh, building relationships with India, right? So that was a theme that we thought, building relationship with India, and some memories that the person should take, go on with, right? So that was a theme. So what we did, against all the odds, we asked, we from the practice side, we asked time to the company, bigger, vice presidents and all. We said, hey, we want some time. We want some time. We want to spend with that lady who's coming, and we would want to take her out. And they said, you know what? There is no time. She's only giving 1.5 day for us, for our company, because she's visiting different companies. And in that 1.5 day, she has to, we have to present so many things. We have our testing services head, we have our development services head, we have our sales head, we have our practice head, we have this head, that head, falana dhimka, everybody wants to present. So we don't have time for what you want to do. And we were the core project team, right? We were actually working with her already. So then what my boss did, he said, okay, because we want to build relationships. If you build relationships, everything will come flow. A lot of people don't get this. A lot of people don't understand that the most important thing that we should spend time with our customer is relationship building, rather than just showing your competence, right? So what this person did, he said, okay, you're not going to give us time. You're not going to give me time to spend time with her when she visits the office. So let me try to take her time before she visits the office, right? So I told her that, so what he did, he called her and asked, can I meet you 6 a.m., in the morning? Just imagine, you're telling the customer, I'll meet you 6 a.m. in the morning, right? And then the customer said, okay, so what are you going to do at 6 a.m.? So he said, so what are you going to do at 6 a.m.? And she was like, he was like, I'll surprise you. Don't worry. We'll come and take you somewhere, some places in Chennai. So be ready at 6 a.m. Am I audible? Sorry, sometimes I'm getting echo. Am I audible clearly? Are you all with me?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it getting interesting? What's going to happen with the customers?
Yes, definitely, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
See what we did. We went 6 a.m. in the morning. Okay, my boss went, actually. I wasn't there. So he went, and 6 a.m. in the morning, he picked her up from the 5-star hotel. He and the customer, nobody else, right? So the company doesn't know what is he going to do. So he took her to ECR Road. So some of you who know Chennai, anybody from Chennai in this call? Who's been in Chennai?
Yes, Lakshman.
Okay.
One of the beautiful road, Eastern Corridor Road.
Yes, ECR Road, right? So what he did, he took her on ECR Road, and there is this 5-star hotel which comes on the left side of ECR. I forgot, Fisherman's Cove, if I'm right. So just before Fisherman's Cove, he arranged for something called as Kathipara ride. Right? It's called, if I'm not spelling it wrong, it should be around that same language. Kathipara ride, it's called Kathipara ride. So what is Kathipara ride? I'll tell you. It is like there are 2 big logs of wood in the sea, and they are joined by 2 sticks, right? So it's like 2 logs, which are joined by 2 sticks. It's like a boat, right? But it doesn't have a boat like a thing. You just have to sit on the log, and you have these 2 sticks. That's all, right? And then he told her, this is called Kathipara ride, which is used for fishing and all. So you should try this adventure. Now she's an American lady, right? I mean, she likes to go and do such wild things. She was like, wow, this is amazing. No one told me such thing exists. And she sat on that, and the local guy who does it, he took her on the ride right in between the sea, and it was like the waves were going up and down, and literally the logs were going up and down, and it was unbelievable, right? She like, wow, this is the best thing that can happen. I never heard, anything like that. And most of the time in the West, safety precautions, there are too many things, but in India, we take safety for granted, right? I mean, we take so many risks. So you said Kathipara ride was the wildest ride she would have had. Just can't imagine it, right? And then when she came back to the coast, and then he took her to a place where you can drink that, white, you can say white white juice, from the tree. In Telugu, we say kallu, right? I don't know what you say in English, but you have this nice nectarian juice that comes out of the tree, fresh out of the tree in the morning. So he took there, and with a leaf, they made that cup, and she was made to drink, right? And she was like, wow, this comes from the tree. He said, yeah, this comes from the tree naturally, and drinking out of the thing. And then he took her to a place where where there is a worship of snakes, and there is this place which is famous for there is a snake park actually near to Chennai, on the same ECR road. There's a crocodile come snake reptile kind of park. Unbelievably scary. He took her there, and then they had like a breakfast in Fisherman's Cove, in that 5-star hotel right just into the sea, where he made her taste some very very authentic masalas and tastes of South India, right? South India, especially Chennai. So she had all that, and then he said, "Okay, we are done. So I'm going to leave you in the hotel." And she was like, "No, I thought you were going to." She was like, "I thought you were going to speak something about work." He said, "My work is over. We have a good relationship now. I think we have spent time together. I've seen how much you enjoy wild sports. I think it's such a nice time we had together." Right? And she said, "Wow, this is the best time that I had together." And then she went to the hotel, and by the time that she went, it was almost like 11ish, and she was supposed to be there in the office by 9:30 to sit in the dark room and see those presentations, which never interested her. And then she came back to the office, and around say 12ish, and then she told, "I'm sorry I'm late, but today morning I had a great time. Your employee took me on such a great place, and we had amazing time." And then she told about all the things that she did. And you know what she did? She just canceled all the presentations that this company was going to present. And she was just talking about the greatness of Katipara ride, the greatness of the juice that she had, the greatness of the snakes that she saw in that park, and all those things. And she said, you people are so welcoming to the customers. You have done such a connection for me. I have known your people. And then she went on the floor. She was speaking to one person on the floor. That was like a really personal relationship, right? And then after the whole thing, my boss goes and tells her, "So we have this next phase of project that we are going to start, and it'll be great if you can give it to us, because we have the right talent, and you can visit us whenever you want. Once in 3 months, you can come to see how the project is going, and we can do more adventurous things." So let me tell you, we actually won not only that project, but many projects in the future, because we spend time on relationships. So now, what is this whole story got to do with presentations, right? A lot of times when people say presentation skills, they think that, okay, I'm going to do a presentation on a PowerPoint present. No, it's not about that. It's about the passion that you have. How are you going to show it out in terms of all the acts and all the things that you do before and after the presentation, right? So the presentation that he did, my boss did, was hardly 10 minutes. But the morning that he spent and the evening that he spent with the people and the relationship that he built before the presentation was the part of the presentation skills, right? And a lot of people don't get this. Even today, the biggest of the vice presidents and directors don't get it, that we are dealing with human beings, and customers are also human beings. They like to have some good time, right? I'm not saying take a customer every time to a movie. I'm saying build a relationship. And building a relationship is very, very critical to be a good presenter, right? To do effective presentation, right? So, any questions at this point, or did you understand what I just spoke, or what did you get out of it? Any reflections? Guys, if you're silent like this, really, I'll not be motivated to, share such more stories or such experiences, right? I want to open up your screens and just speak out. Did you get it? Did you understand? What were the takeaways from the incident that I told? What did you think was peculiar or helpful?
Yes, Lakshman. It's not only the presentation skills, it is also important to build the rapport with the client to get further, like in a good base. So it's not about all PPT and computer things. It's all about human things also.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Sujana. Anybody else? Anything else?
The building relationships, it will help you to grow like professionally and also personally in nature also. It will
Yes.
affect.
Yes, Devi Prasad. Anybody else? Thank you.
Understanding the problem and putting in presentation, that is called actually the mean value of presentation.
Yes.
Simply one-way feedback is also it's not good.
Exactly. Exactly. See, you should understand what my boss was actually looking at is this lady is coming to India and she's going to spend so much time, right, in different companies, and everybody is going to put her in a dark room and keep on showing these presentations. So why don't I do something different? Why don't I do something which will actually make her happy, right, and build a relationship? That is more important because presentations I can do online also when she's in America. What's the point in putting somebody in a room and going on with presentations all the time, right? So what I want to tell all of you through this medium of presentation skills class is look at presentation as a medium to express your passion for the subject and a medium to build relationships, right? A medium to create that connection with the audience. And the most important thing, audience are human beings. Remember that. When you're presenting a presentation, the people sitting in front of you are not money machines. They are human beings. It can be your colleagues, it can be your superior, your subordinates, whatever they're human beings. If you don't engage them, if you don't make it a point that your point is going into them, there's no point in making it. See, why do you think I've stopped here and I can go through the presentation, finish the entire presentation skills in 1.5 hours, but that's not the goal. That's not the goal. I am spending this quality time of mine, and you are spending this quality time of yours, almost 60 of you, is why? Because something has to go inside, right? Something has to go inside. And I want to make sure that I want to tell you this message that presentation skills means you are valuing the opposite person. You're valuing the opposite person. Presentation skills means you're valuing the subject that you want to present, right? And presentation skills means you are making sure that the opposite person feels happy also at the end of the presentation, right? Happy meaning he has got something out of it. He has not wasted his time, and you have not wasted your time, right? So all this forms part of the presentation skills. And as we go forward, like look at this person, right? Steve Jobs. What did he do? He valued the time that he wants to give to everybody, and it made sure that the statement is clear. Take your 1,000 songs in your pocket, right? So this is my presentation for the future. And so the iPods came, the iPhone came, the iMac came, and today it's still ruling the market, right? Mahatma Gandhi, right? Again, one of the greatest presenters this world has seen. One statement, ahimsa, one statement. He didn't do big speech. He said, I am going to do this war with ahimsa. That one word moved the whole country. Moved people who would never even believe in nonviolence. They said, you know what, this is something unique. Let's try it. And he was so strong in his presentation. Everywhere he went, he made sure that he told that this is the way I'm going to make it happen. Ahimsa. I'm not going to put violence in front of me and make it happen, right? I mean, of course, there is also some other great leaders like Subhash Chandra Bose, without whose support, Gandhi would never have been successful. But Gandhi was a very good presenter in his way of putting it. Ahimsa is my way to go, right? Hitler. Now, I wouldn't take him as a great example, but guy was very good at presenting, right? He just told, kill them. I mean, the strength with which he told, the conviction with which he told, moved so many people and such a big murders happened. So I don't want to tell that you have to follow this leader, but the passion that he had for it made it happen. So again, presentation skills, when a good person has it, like a doctor can use a knife for operating and treating, and a burglar or a thief can use the same knife to kill you also, right? So it's not the fault of the knife, it's the person who is using it. So presentation skills is a perfect thing, provided the right person is using it, of course, and this is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This one person, one mantra he gave across the world in 1965, old 17-year-old person, one mantra, the conviction with which he gave, right? Today, Just few weeks back, Indian Prime Minister celebrated 125th anniversary of this great gentleman. The country doesn't even know such a great leader who has moved all the countries. You can see these foreigners, completely dressed in Sanatan Dharma and Vedic, lifestyle they've taken up. And that one mantra, he said, this is the mantra that helps me go forward, right? Names of God, like all the other religions, the Bible or Quran also says, name of God is very, very powerful when we chant it. So he implemented it, right? So again, the conviction, great presenter. He had Bengali English, right? He can't even speak proper English. And he was speaking to Americans, Russians, Europeans, right? They wouldn't even understand when he's speaking because he's from Bengal origin and his English is that little difficult to understand when he speaks, but still people understood it because his presentation was backed by passion and compassion for the world, right? So that is such a great acharyas. There are many such leaders, that world has shown. So what is the power of presentation? What is a presentation? So in simple words, let us try to put some definition around it. A presentation is a means of communication which is adapted to various speaking situations, such as talking in a group, addressing a meeting, or briefing a team, right? All these things form part of a presentation. Like you don't want to present like this, right? I mean, scare people out and just shout at people saying, this is definitely not the best presentation, right? Of course, this is also not the best presentation because the subject is so bad. The subject is so bad that you're presenting to destroy something, right? Here we had to learn how to make our presentation powerful, the best structure of your presentation, how to overcome nervousness when you're presenting, and powerful body language, very important. See, I'm using these hands, right? I mean, these hands play a very big role when you're presenting it. Every time, you present, you have to use your hands because your entire body language creates powerful message, right? See, when I say message, I'm saying like this, right? Powerful message. And when I say something very touching or very impactful, when I have to say, you'll see that my hand will go here, like something like this. Please try to understand it. Like, actually, here is my heart and here is the hand, right? You wouldn't believe that just by using your hands in the right way and presenting the matter in a perfect way, it makes such a big impact on the presentation. So your body language, you should know how you're presenting, what you're presenting. Techniques to deliver effective, powerful, power-packed presentation, which we'll discuss, and how can we use presentation as a tool to achieve our goals, right? We'll go with that. Okay. Some basic flaws that people make, right? Basic flaws that people make while making a presentation. So before I tell what the flaws are, can somebody in the audience tell what are the basic flaws do you think people make when they make presentations?
Like going with the flow, whether the audience are exactly listening or what, without checking the audience are comfortable with his like speed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So most people do the thing that they read just the points on that presentation, but they don't explain it properly.
They don't maintain eye contact to the audience.
No eye contact with the audience, right? So sometimes you see the presentation is going on and they're just looking at the presentation like this. They don't even see who is looking at it. They're like, sir, so point number 1, so point number 2, and point number 3, and okay, I'm done. Thank you very much. Whom did you look at? Who looked at you, right? So it's very, very important, eye contact and engaging the audience. Yes. What other flaws do you see?
Most of the people, they just mention everything. I think mentioning in the bullet points and talking more on the bullet points is that matters in the presentation rather than putting everything in the presentation and reading that, right?
Yes.
Make bullet points and talk more.
Use use pictures more than text.
Use more pictures. Yeah, who said that?
Right.
Who said that?
Sushita.
Yeah, Sushita. Very important. The picture speaks 1,000 words, right? When you have the right picture to depict what you want to say, it makes all the difference. Yes. A lot of people use a lot of write-up.
Yeah, uses more examples also.
Use more examples and examples that are applicable, examples which are easily understood, right? You can't give an example of a medieval age and say that, this is how it works. No, the example should be powerful and it should make you think. Yes.
The content of the presentation should be right.
The content should be according to the agenda.
Context or yeah.
Yes. What other flaws do you think people do? Many, right? Okay, how many of you feel the presenter should be good looking? I'll tell you the problem. Many of us feel that he should be good looking. That is a problem. No, your looks have got nothing to do. Of course, you should be decently dressed. That's all it is. But your passion for the subject is what really matters, right? Okay, so let me go ahead and tell you some of the points, basic flaws in presentations today. Number one, there are millions of presentations created and delivered each single day. 95% of them are completely useless and failures. 95% of the presentation, no kidding. Goalless presentation, right? Goalless meaning you don't know what goal you want to achieve. So what is the goal that I told today? What is my goal of my presentation today? If anybody remembers, I want to, yeah, go ahead.
Power of presentation.
No, I told my goal, my passion for the subject today is I want to make sure that you all present your pain points clearly so you can find solutions, right?
Yeah.
So that was my goal. And I want to achieve that goal, right? I want to make you more expressive in what you want to say and methodical in what you want to say, right? So that you can express your pain points in your workplace or anywhere and get them solved, right? So goal has to be very, very clear. How you want to help anybody? What is your presentation aiming at? Yes. Next, nervousness. People become so nervous when they have to present, right? They start shaking up and they start, like, you can literally see the tension in there. You can't present when you're tensed. You need to relax. Actually, you should enjoy your presentation. Like right now, I'm enjoying. At all your cost, I'm enjoying it. so the point is, the next 1 hour that I'm going to spend, I'm really going to enjoy this because I'm going to speak something that I like to speak, right? That should be the motto. If I'm nervous, oh my God, how will people understand what I'm saying? Oh my God, will people accept what I'm saying? Oh my God, can I present it properly? You cannot do anything, right? You have to be relaxed. You can't be nervous. A lot of people are unstructured. People present like they go in different lines. They start with customer requirement. Suddenly they'll go to a production ticket. Come on, and then from there they'll go to this what we committed in the sales, and from there they go to a bug that happened 4 years back, and then from there they go to somebody who resigned, and from there they go to another production bug that is not solved. I'm like, what are you presenting? There has to be a flow. Unstructured presentations. A lot of people don't know how to present, right? In a structured way. Unprepared. Trust me, a lot of people don't prepare for that presentation. Like, for example, today's presentation, when do you think I prepared for it? I prepared for it on Tuesday. And I'm so relaxed after that because I prepared for it. And then yesterday night, I just had a quick look at it. Okay, what are the things that I'm going to present? And what are the examples do I think I should choose to tell people, right? You have to be prepared for that. You can have a small sheet, in front of you, like something like a white paper here, which has few points that I want to say, and I'll make sure that I say it. So unprepared presentations are a big failure. Too much information, like one slide having like so much. Okay, it's okay. You'll see some of my slides are also very crowded. But I don't present the whole slide at a time. I present it part by part by part. And then you see that at the end, the whole slide is crowded. But a lot of people, the beginning itself, without any animation, they just present the whole slide. And the person looking at it is like, what the hell, how will I understand all this? Well, you don't have to understand all this at a time, but you can start at the left corner and come slowly to the right corner and then go bottom, then go to the bottom right corner. So there is a way you want to present it. But sometimes the presenters just put all the points on the screen. That is also not right. Too much information. No eye contact. Like I told, I'm presenting and I'm looking at somebody, or I'm looking down, or I'm just looking in the air. That's not a way of presenting. You have to, especially with the online, I don't know how else can I do. The worst part is I have to see my own face. So, but when you're presenting to people around, you can look at them, and that makes a big difference because as I told in the last class in oral communication, your eye is the greatest communicator. Everything can be known about you just when someone looks into your eyes. No agenda. They have no agenda. A lot of people, they come with like an open agenda. They bring out all their frustrations in every presentation. That is also another bad thing. Body language, negative body language kills everything, right? An unformatted presentation, you're like no bullet points, like somebody told, no bullet points and not properly fonted, everything is like everywhere, no proper lines. It doesn't look good also. And of course, lack of passion, right? If you don't have passion, then obviously you're not going to present it properly, right? So lack of passion, another really, really bad thing. So these are basically, I'll say, the flaws in today's presentations, right? So what you want to do is you have to make a resolution today. Now I want all of you to say that you will not make a horrible presentation again, right? I don't know how many presentations you've done in the past, but at least today, as on date, I don't know today's date, but what is it today? 1st of October 2021. Just tell it to yourself, I'm not going to make people cry in my presentations. I'm not going to do the same mistakes that I did in the past, right? I want to make sure that I properly present it. Yeah, I'm sorry about this. I'm actually handling a very important issue. I'm getting these important calls. I have to take, and then I'll stop with it. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, sorry about that. Extremely sorry. Yeah. So we want to make sure that from today on, we are not going to make horrible presentations, right? At least these mistakes, these flaws, we shouldn't be doing it, like goalless, nervous, unstructured, unprepared, over information, no eye contact, no agenda, no bad body language, unformatted, lack of passion. All these things are not right. Okay. So let's go to the next. Steps to make presentation powerful. There are 3 A's of presentation. Now, please focus on this. This is like the master slide. After this, we're going to have all subsets from here. 3 A's of presentation and 3 stages of presentation. Right? 3 stages of presentation is very simple: before, during, after. Right? As simple as that. And 3 A's of presentation is knowing your audience, your argument, and your action. Right? All these 3 things. And stages is plan, prepare, and present. Plan when you before, prepare when you're going to do it, and present it finally perfectly, right? So and present it in such a way you also have future action items, right? So audience, argument, and action. In this, both are correlated. What is your goal from them? You need to have very clear understanding when you're calling 10 people. What is the goal you have for them? Why are you presenting it, and who are these audience, right? See, sometimes when you're presenting it to directors, the way you're going to present is different. And sometimes when you're going to present it to developers or leads or managers at a little lower level, the way you're going to present is different. So it's very important to know who is your audience, and you have to plan for it, right? So planning goes along with planning your audience also. Why they are invited. Again, see, you're inviting 10 people for your presentation. You need to know why you're inviting them. You don't want to invite somebody to just make him sit there, and the guy comes and asks, why did you call me? And then like, no, sir, if you're here, I'll feel confident. And that's nonsense, right? I mean, you should be very clear why you're inviting anybody. Especially, my dear friends, I'm telling you, when you go abroad, when you're, or even when you're working with, especially with Western customers, they don't like to be invited to meetings unless they know why they're invited and what is expected out of them. And they're very blunt about it because they plan their day very, very effectively. Especially, I mean, I'm not being biased towards West or East, but let me tell you, we guys in India really are bad in planning our day. Because we come to the office, we go and have a coffee, then we sit in our workstation, we start talking to the other person, then we go on to go and another coffee. Finally, at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, you start your work. I'm not generalizing, but I've personally seen that's not the way it works for, especially in the West. They try to do the maximum meetings in the morning time, and then the afternoon and the later time they use in the action points that they get out of the morning meetings, they want to implement it. So their first part of a day starts really, really effectively, and we also have to learn from that. Sometimes some people give reasons, sir, when I'm working with Western customers, my day starts in the night. No, it's not that they want you to stay late, but if you've not done anything since morning effective, so obviously you'll end up doing it while they are awake, which is like your nighttime. So you're very, very important that when you invite them for meetings, their daytime counts, right? So your night is morning for them, and when you're calling them to join a meeting, and you don't want to waste their time. So your audience should be perfect, and you should know who should be called. For example, for a go live meeting, if I want to go live, you want to call the right stakeholders from all the affected systems to come there and become part of your cutoff plan. And you talk to them saying that you are affected here, so please be available, and we need to do this test on the production server. And when I'm implementing it, we already done it in the test server. All the discussions, the right stakeholders have to be there. So before you call for a meeting, you want to make sure that you actually know how impactful your delivery is going to be, whatever you're working on, what is the impact on it for many others, and are all those people called to the meeting, right? That's the one. So decision makers have to be called. That's the most important thing. And what are their positions? You should know who is the vice president, who is the executive vice president, and you should give due respect according to that, right? You want to make sure that people understand that if they're called, they're not wasting their time, and they're given due respect. What are their concerns? Your audience concerns, right? When you're calling them for a meeting, you want to make sure that you know what their concerns are. Otherwise, you'll just keep telling some solution which is not even applicable for them, right? I mean, they will be like, why did you call me for a meeting? So it's very important, their concerns, and what do they think about you? That's again a very important thing. What impression do they carry? If you think that somebody really hates you, you better not call him, or at least go and speak to him before the presentation, right? And set some kind of a relationship or some kind of an expectation, so he will not damage your meeting, right? So what do they think about you is very, very important, and most important, what pleases them. Guys, understand one thing. Still, we are living in a world where it's about humans, it's about expectations, and it's about happiness. So if your solution is not going to please somebody, you're not going to get his buy-in, right? So you want to make sure that everybody understands how you arrived at the solution before the meeting itself, right? So your audience should be known, and you should convince them even before they come to the meeting. So meeting is just a spot where they all raise their hand and say, great, right? We're all agreeing with you. So the 3 years of presentation, audience plays a very big role, and that all comes under planning. Now, how will they commit? That also you should know, like what are the triggering points to tell them that, okay, can you make your decision now? I'm going to help you with the rest of the things. Don't worry about this. So you should know what are the things which will stop them from making the decision ahead of the curve. So you can make sure that they are taken care, right? 40% of the time is needed for planning. So this, before you make a presentation, 40% of the time is all about audience. Who are they? How to handle them? What to get out of them, right? So that's very important. Then comes argument. How are you going to present it, right? What way you're going to put it, right? Then comes the presentation skills in PowerPoint presentation, all that. How are you going to present it? What's the strong connection, right? How to make sure audience gets it, right? What are the pictures that you want to keep? How are you going to put the whole flow of the solution, right? What will, wait a second. Yeah. So what will make them feel and believe and do after you talk? Actually, you should think that what should I speak so that they will actually go and implement it, right? And that's part of preparation, which is 20% of the time. You can see maximum times it goes in planning. For effective presentation, 40% time is about planning and 20% time is about preparation. Now, finally, presenting it, right? Action. How do you finally deliver? Where are you delivering it? Right? What are your action items? Right? After you deliver, what are your action items? What do you deliver? What are their action items? Right? Participants have their action items. Did they understand or not? If, for example, you did a presentation and people have to work on some things after the presentation, are you tracking it down? So a lot of the times project managers say, see, they do a big meeting calling 20 people, but they don't give proper action items. And even if they give action items, they never bother to follow it up, right? And the result is what? You don't see any effective completion of tasks, right? So what's your conclusion? Should be crystal clear. When you're presenting it, this is my conclusion, this is what exactly I wanted to deliver. And do you achieve your goal and how do you know, right? Did you achieve it? Like, did I, by doing this presentation, did I achieve my goal? Yes or no, right? And how do you know that you've achieved? It's not that, I felt very nice that I presented. No, you will see that in the, when you see them in person, you can see them in their eyes that you actually got your point, or you'll see it in their actions, right? And most important, what are your next steps, right? So you see, this is the action, right? I mean, do the presentation, make sure that you take your action items, make sure that they take their action items, and make sure that they follow up, you follow up to make sure the action item happens and everybody's clear on the next steps, right? So as I said, 3 A's of presentation: audience, argument, action, right? These 3 things are very, very, I can tell you one thing, if you just cover these questions that I've shown here, right, close to like 12 to 17 questions that I put on the screen there, you'll be easily very good in planning, preparing, and presenting. The presenting and follow-up needs 40% of your time. So if you really look at it, 40% for planning, 20% to actually prepare that, and 40% to present it, right? So this is the amount of time you want to allocate. A lot of the times when people have to make presentation, they spend hardly 10 minutes on planning, 80% on preparing, and when finally time comes to present, they're clueless, so they miss the boat. They hardly present in a proper way, right? Nobody has any action items, right? So areas to focus. Now I'm going to show you a master slide once again, which has all the things that you have to learn, and we'll go into details, right? So plan, prepare, and present. 3 stages of presentation. So in planning, what are all the things that come in the planning? As I told about audience, so clear goal, fixed agenda, selected audience. You should know whom you're selecting, whom you're calling for the meeting. Convenient place, very important. Agreed timeline. And finally, your medium and tool that you're going to use for presenting. All these things are very much part of your planning exercise. Now we are going to get into each one of them in detail. Okay. So the next part of the presentation is all about discussing each one of these, and we are done with today's presentation. Right. So please, planning, as I said, 40% of effort should go in all these things. So let us spend time. Now, what is there in preparing? Gathering material, right? Visual aids, like what are the graphs you'll use or photographs you'll use, all that. And sequence steps, decision prompts, very, very important. What is the sequence and where are you going to have decision prompts? Meaning when you present this, you want to get a decision in between the presentation also. So you want to make sure that you prompt it, right? You call it out very clearly. And formatting, please hold on, because we're going to discuss all these things in detail. Each one of them will spend at least 5 minutes, right? So formatting is also part of preparation. Then game plan. Game plan should be like, you want to win this game. The most effective presenter is a person who wins his presentation even before he does the presentation. He already knows that I'm going to win. As simple as that. Like sometimes when some political parties, before even the election, they already have confident that they will win it because they have the right people. They've done all the hard work of getting the right people, right? So in the same way, you want to be prepared so nicely that finally before you present, you already presented. You already have won. And questions too, right? So you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions to the audience also. Now, finally, at present, the presentation stage, right? Audience needs are presented, stakeholders buy-ins are received while you present it, and helpers and aids, you are calling for right help from people while you're presenting it. We'll discuss about this. Very, very important. Helper and aids. Wait on. Body language has to be positive and practice until perfection. Right? Practice and present it. Present it is the last thing. So if you can see in this whole slide, areas to focus to make perfect presentations, present it comes at the last stage. All the other points is about how you are planning it, how you are preparing for it before you present it. Right? So I'll hold on for a minute. Any questions or reflections? Are you following what we're discussing?
Yes, we are following.
Anything anybody wants to share? Okay. Deep dive. Now we are going to deep dive. Okay. Now please make notes. If you think each one of these points, something that I'm going to share is going to help you, you can make your notes at each one. So planning, first one comes is clear goal. Now in clear goal, what are you going to present? What's the goal of the presentation meeting? Convey it strongly. Even before you start the presentation work or when you're presenting, you want to convey the goal very loud and clear so that people agree to your goal. See, my dear friends, if people don't agree to your goal, then why would they even hear your presentation? What is the motive for them to hear your presentation, right? So clear goal is very, very important. Next, share information. So clear goal, how do you do that? By sharing information, advance the thinking, improve communication, build community, build capacity, make decisions, and obtain input. All these things part of what's the goal of meeting, the goal of presentation meeting, right? All the things should be very, very clearly laid out. Presentation is prepared with goal in mind. Right? See, if you don't have a goal in mind, then your presentation can be in all directions, right? Anything for that matter. It should be like single pointed goal. See, in like if I go back and give you a story for this, right? For example, there were many archers that the world has seen, but one of the greatest archer they mentioned in our history is Arjun, right, in Mahabharata. And what was the greatness of Arjun was when his coach, Drona, he took him. Dronacharya was his coach, his weaponry coach, right? So when he took all the Pandavas and Kauravas, brothers who were there in that coaching, he asked them to, point their arrow and ask them, what are you seeing when you're going to hit your arrow at certain direction? What are you seeing? So different people told different answers. Like one of his elder brothers, Yudhishthir, he told that I'm seeing the whole tree. Then Bhima, one of his brothers, told that I'm seeing a bird. And some other brother told that I'm seeing you also, sir. I'm also seeing your feet. I'm also seeing the sky, like that, right? Duryodhan told I'm seeing whatever I like to see. But when it came to Arjun, Arjun was very good at seeing clearly what he wants to hit the arrow to. So he told, I am seeing the eyeball of the bird. He was very clear. I'm seeing the eyeball of the bird. Now, bird itself is so small, but his aim is so clear that he wants to aim it there. And then his spiritual teacher said, yes, that's a very good quality for effective presenter, right? Sorry, for effective archer. Your aim should be single pointed. And even when a great philosophy like Bhagavad Gita was spoken, Lord Krishna tells to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, there is a beautiful verse. I would like to share that with you. He says, Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekaha kurunandana. Bahushaka anantascha abuddhir avevasayinam. What does it mean? He says, single pointed focus is very, very important. Ekaha kurunandana. It should be like single pointed. Why you are doing what you're doing. Your determination should be perfect. Bahushaka anantascha. Shaka means branches. When there are many branches in your thought process, obviously you're not going to achieve anything, right? I mean, your focus is not clear. Bahushaka anantascha abuddhir avayavasainam. He says that you cannot achieve anything, Arjuna, if you're not single-pointedly focused. You want to be very clear on why you're doing this war, right? And what are you going to achieve out of this war? And that focus should be very, very clear in you until the last day, the last man standing. You should not deviate from your goal in between the war, right? So even our lives today are no different than a war, because we are coming here trying to battle against the competition, against the customer expectations, against our superiors' expectations, trying to understand our needs of our juniors who are working with us, and the expectations of our peers. So it's like a battlefield in itself. but your goal should be very, very clear. Why am I coming to office, right? How can I utilize my time in such a nice way that I'm available for the most important things in life, right? So clear goal is very, very important in presentations. Any change to goal will ruin the entire presentation. You don't want that you started the presentation for telling something and you'll end up ending your presentation by telling something else, right? That's not the point. I have exactly spent 1 hour, 60 minutes now. It's it's 5 past 3. So 3:05, and I'm clear on am I presenting it correctly or no? Because my goal is very, very clear, right? So clear goal is very, very important while you do the presentation. Next, fixed agenda. Your agenda should be perfectly fixed. Very important in PowerPoint presentations or any presentation that you do. Even before you present it to people, tell that here is my agenda. Here is what I want to achieve. And you can also ask your audience one thing. You can tell them, you can ask them, is there any other expectations you carry? See, when I was giving presentations, to Westerners also, in the beginning, I would tell people that, okay, thank you for coming. I am sure you have come here for achieving something. I want to make sure that you achieve it. So can you please tell me, is your expectation taken care in my agenda? So immediately I would say, hey, Lakshman, I think you have not covered that thing. So now I know that that person came to hear something or to get something. So I want to make sure that's part of the agenda. So at least you can write it down. And sometimes when you're not prepared to present that, you can tell that person that, hey, I have made a note of it and I'm going to make sure that either I present it at the end of it or I'll add one more meeting after this where I will make sure that that is also covered, right? So at least he or she will feel that their need is heard and we are going to do something about it. We're going to present it, right? So fixed agenda. Agenda determines the sequence of material that is going to be presented. Sometimes, not everybody is needed in the beginning. You want to make sure that all the people are there for the right important time in the meeting, right? When everybody's time is very precious, you can't get 1 hour time of everybody. Sometimes you have to tell, okay, the key stakeholders on certain areas can come after half an hour because in the first half an hour, I'm going to present something else. So your agenda has a sequence of steps, which will even be useful for your time management. Viewers are also prepared to wait for their interested part of the presentation, right? So when your agenda is clear, they'll also, oh, okay, he's going to do this also. Let me wait for that. Because that is something that I want to hear. Very important at the beginning of the presentation, right? You're all following, right? You have to have a solid agenda which will interest everybody. They have something to gain. Your agenda should not be something that you want to present. No, your agenda should be such that the other people who are attending will gain out of it, or you will get the right decision from them, right? Participants can be called at different time slots. This is something that we all have to learn. Don't call everybody and make them sit in a room and make them wait, not knowing when their turn is going to come, right? You want to tell that, hey, if you want to take a break and come back, you can, because I'm still going to discuss about this for the next 10 minutes. Or you can tell that, hey, your time is very important for us at the end. So if you want to stick on, you can, otherwise you can go and come back. Or you can tell them, we want you to be there and just be for information only kind of a thing as of now, but it's very important that you know all these things, because at the end, when you're going to give a decision, it's better you hear the whole thing. So indirectly you're telling that you better stay, right? So you should know your agenda, and that also helps you in keeping the right people at the right time in your meeting. So agenda accomplished is equal to presentation accomplished, right? How do you know that your presentation is complete? When your agenda is complete. If you have presented 50% of the agenda, that means that you're not completed your presentation completely. That's one way of knowing. Next, selected audience. You don't want to call the whole world. That's not the point. Sometimes, let me tell you, if you have the right people in the room, 3 or 4, your job is done. You don't have to have 20 people in the room, right? And everybody who is affected should be in the room, and everybody who is rightly representing should be in the room. Everybody who is going to actually make decisions should be in the room. You want to know who the decision makers are, because a lot of the times, you call, for example, let me give you an example to all of you. You are in this office, and one of you says, sir, we want a ping pong table in the office, right? Like table tennis table in some corner. And then I'm attending that meeting, and say, some other guys from finance are attending the meeting. One person from HR is attending the meeting, and then you're putting your point for it. You've called for the meeting, and we are the people who are attending. And so few other project managers also attending. But do you think that's enough? Is that the right audience that you selected? No. Because ultimately the decision maker is, like somebody like Satya or Pawan who actually have to approve whatever that we're going to discuss. Somebody from me like finance can present the cost effect, and saying that, okay, this is what it costs to do it, and this is when we can do it, the timing, all that is okay, but the decision makers are there or not. That's very, very important. So you want to make sure that you have the right audience selected for every meeting that you call for. Every person should be called with a purpose and a role to play. Your audience will drive the presentation. Wrong person can ruin the entire endeavor. If you think that somebody is disturbing or difficult to handle, better don't call that person in the group presentation. You can handle him separately. You can go and spend a little bit of time with him separately, and you will get your decisions, right? There are some people who open up when you speak to them separately. I'm sure what I'm telling. You just speak to them in the corridor or have a tea with them, coffee with them, just go out, and they will open up rather than making them sit in a 20 people conference room and you ask them a question, they won't even open up. So people have different personalities, right? So you have to understand that. Next, there can be people dynamic issues also. Select based on what works. Sometimes, when I'm just giving few names, like when when Suresh cannot stand Ramesh, right? That Suresh can't stand Ramesh. Don't call Suresh and Ramesh in that meeting. Simple. Don't try to make a big scene out of it, right? Make sure that you speak to Suresh separately, Ramesh separately, and only one of them comes to the meeting, right? So you want to understand the people dynamics, and you can't expect that everybody likes everybody loves everybody. It doesn't happen, doesn't exist, right? So as a person who is calling for the presentation, you want to make sure that the right people are there. So more people in a presentation, less focus on key stakeholders, right? So when you have too many people, you can't focus on few people. So it's better to have few people and focus on them, so that even you will not go, like if you have too many people, somebody is asking some question, you lose focus on the main question, right? So you want to have the people who actually understand the criticality, the importance of what you're going to present. So that is very, very useful. So any questions here on these three things in planning? Clear goal, fixed agenda, and selected audience?
No doubts, Lakshman. We're good to go further.
No doubts?
It's clear, Lakshman.
Okay, so
It's
I'm
clear.
proceeding, hoping that you all understood. Okay, next comes in planning is convenient place. Guys, I'm telling you, this is a very important thing in your planning process. What is the place that I'm going to present? A lot of people don't give much importance to it. They're like, you know what, let's go into a conference room and let's get started. No, you want to make sure that the size is good, the place is good, the background sound is good, the ambience is good. All these things really matter because audience really gets affected by all this, right? So comfortable place and apt surroundings makes a big difference, right? So when we were choosing this office, the new office that you're going to see in few days, most of you have not come, but you'll be coming eventually, right? So this office, what is the best thing that I like about the office? The conference room, right? There are 3 conference rooms at the end, and they're pretty long, and you can see the entire office through them, right? And it really gives a bright feeling when you sit there and you start discussing. It's rather than me and you sitting in a coffee shop versus this conference room makes a big difference. So the place that you're choosing matters, the comfort that people have in that place, right? And let me tell you, the chairs in the big conference room are really, really good. You might say, what does it got to do with presentation skills? It has got a lot to do with presentation skills. The chairs in which people are going to sit, if they're not comfortable, they will not listen to your points. In fact, they'll just keep adjusting or cursing you for pulling them and keeping them sit in such horrible places, right? So presentation of a place is equally important as your presentation. Place should be sufficient to accommodate at least 20% surprise inclusions, right? So when you're calling for 50 people, at least have a conference room which can have 60 people, right? Because you never know who is the key stakeholder you want to bring in again. There can be last minute surprises. So you have to plan for a little more than the planned audience. Place should be known in advance to the audience. It shouldn't happen that you send a place which is difficult to find in Google Maps also, right? The guy is like, where are you going to present now? I better attend, online. Or you choose a place which is 100 kilometers away, right? And ask everybody to come there. That's also not going to work, right? You want to choose a place which is very close, proximity per se, and people are very comfortable to come there, right? So convenient place. So unplanned place is adjourned meeting, right? Now Harvard room. I had given the example Harvard room. See, this is a perfect example of in my own life. I faced a problem. So there was a friend of mine who was organizing a seminar in Harvard University. So we were living in Boston that time, and we used to organize a lot of seminars by bringing great speakers. And so one of my friends, when he organized this seminar in Harvard, see, Harvard is not like one big building, like you see big colleges around, right? Harvard is like a whole town. There is a whole town called Harvard. And in that, there are so many buildings, and each building is a block relating to that university. So when he blocked this big hall, he blocked it like 5, 6 weeks in advance. And then one mistake that he did is he did not come and see the hall like at least 1 week before. Right on the day of presentation, he went and saw the hall. And unfortunately, the hall was completely broken apart and some repair work was happening. He didn't know that. So just imagine around 100 people, 100 important people are coming to attend the seminar in Harvard University. You organized it. And one day and 1 hour before the presentation, you're going to the hall and you're seeing that whole thing is filled with construction work, right? So it was a big crisis. And suddenly we had to, at time there was no WhatsApp also. I'm talking about like 2008, somewhere at that time. So there was no WhatsApp. How do you even communicate to everybody where to come? So we had to keep a sticky outside the hall and saying that please come to a different room. And unfortunately, the different room that we got in such short notice was half the size of that room that we had blocked, right? So more than 200 people had to sit in a place which has only 80 seats, right? So it was very difficult to manage. So again, convenient place planned ahead in advance makes a big difference. You want to plan things ahead of the curve, right? And also make sure you check on it just before, saying is everything all right or not, right? Did everybody follow the importance of a place, right? Presentation, and including a tool. When I say place, including a tool like something like Zoom. Why did I choose Zoom over Teams? There are many reasons why. Because Zoom has some tools which you can immediately implement for grouping all of you in 10 groups and give you some exercise, right? All that is very difficult in Teams, but I can do that very well in Zoom. I can create break rooms in Zoom. If I don't know if how many of you use those features, but Zoom is a robust tool. And during Corona time, it has been developed, and really, it's a tool that can really make so many things happen, especially for trainings, right? So place really makes a difference. Convenient place, right? Now, what are the things in planning? Agreed timeline. You want to agree a timeline that works for everybody, right? Based on the audience convenience is very, very important. Like, for example, when me and Swati were discussing when should we do the trainings, we understood for many of you that Friday afternoons is a good time. Because most of the time, Friday is like the end of the week, and you want to finish most of your work so you can go home early and have a long weekend or a weekend. So Friday is the best time to have trainings. Some of you came back and told also that it will not work for us, but we had to make a choice between 95% versus 5%. So if 95% audience is fine, see what happens if I had put this presentation at 4 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock. Because on Friday, some of you want to leave at 5, 4:30 maybe, right? So we want to keep a time which really works. So for the audience, most importantly, advance information on timeline. Like you would have seen, the notice for this presentation was sent on Monday or Tuesday, which is what Swati does, right? So we discuss on what is the topic. Every Monday morning, I send a note to Swati asking, okay, what is the topic you want me to present? And she immediately sends, okay, this is what is the topic. In fact, last time she sent me next 5 weeks topics. It's like, Lakshman, don't bother me. This is what are the 5 weeks topics, right? So it's very important that we plan it. It's very important we tell the timeline to everybody in advance, right? Recurring meeting should be blocked well in advance. So all of you, your calendar for the next, whatever time you're going to spend in Lorhan, touch wood, if everything goes right, every Friday is a day of training, right? Every Friday afternoon. So you can tell your customer, you can tell your manager that, sir, this 2 hours in a week, I want to spend for my self-development, right? Very important. If somebody is not developing by self, he's like a redundant, scraped out, person in the organization who cannot be better as the time passes by. So you want to make sure that you are becoming more efficient through these trainings. Holiday time, long weekends, major events, odd time zones, Please avoid it. Don't do that. Don't schedule a meeting 7:30 on a Friday evening. You have to be a sadist to do that. Don't do that. You had the whole week to do it. Instead, you can tell the person, hey, can we schedule sometime on Saturday afternoon, if that's okay, rather than putting him on the nerve, on Friday evening. And especially last minute things should be avoided, right? So, and long weekends, right? Dasara holiday is coming. You're telling your customer, hey, let's do a thing. Let's plan go live during Dasara. Give me a break. Have some mercy on people. Don't do such things, right? Everybody likes to have family time. During that time, don't schedule too many tasks. So try to avoid festivals, because see, you can force 10 people to come to work and do things, but you will not get the best out of them. You know what I'm saying, right? You'll get the best out of people when they are happy to work with you and you give them the right time to do it, right? So agreed time for meeting is too much advance or too less notice, both lead to failure. Say, for example, I give you advance notice of 2 months, not going to work. I give you an advance notice of 2 hours, not going to work, right? So it has to be middle ground. It has to be something which people will know. I normally do two things. Whenever I have to call people for a program, whether it is a office program or a spiritual program, I call them 2 times. One, I tell them 1 week in advance. Second, I tell them 1 day in advance. Both the things I do. And I've seen great results. And more than that, personal invite, right? You want to speak to people. No, it's a good to send a group invite. For example, when you're calling for a meeting, you send a group meeting, right? You select all the required people, optional people, and send it. That's okay, but that's not the end of the world. If you really want the presentation to go successful, you want to send individual mails also, at least to the key stakeholders, saying that, hey, for example, Mr. Gupta, I sent the invite. Is the time okay for you? He already has seen it, but you're also saying offline to make sure that he attends. Because unless the right people attend, your meeting is a failure, right? So medium and tool. What are the tool that you're going to use, right? Do you want to do it in person, or do you want to do it like a video conference, which is better than audio conference? What tool would you want to use while you do it? And backup planning, right? In case things go haywire. For example, your projector stops working. What are you going to do? So once when I was going to make a presentation, for some reason I felt everybody should write notes. So whatever I present, they should write notes. So what did I do? I took a presentation copy. I took a print of the presentation, gave it to all the 10 people. So they also have the pack in front of them on which they can write notes, whatever I'm telling on each slide, so that they know their action items. And in case there is a power cut, or in case the projector stops working, I can still present it, right? Because I've given the presentation, print of the presentation. So you should be having a backup plan. When things go bad, how is it going to work, right? So it's very, very important. And make sure everyone is invited, with the tool. Is equipped with the tool. Like Zoom is installed in everybody's machine so that they can join on time. Or Teams is installed. Make sure that technologically they are ready. So not everything is communicated in words alone, right? So you want to make sure that through your actions, you communicate everything, right? So in planning, we talked about clear goal, clear place, clear agenda, clear agreed timeline, and the medium and the tool that you're going to use. That was all about planning. Any questions on planning before we go forward?
No, Lakshman.
It's clear.
It's clear? Yeah.
Yes, sir, it's clear. Can I take someone's name, like I can see for 58 participants, just to check if people are actually awake and they're available there. So Lakshman, you want me to take someone's name from the list?
Yeah, why
Because
don't
I
you
could
do?
hear
No,
only
can you help me with
voice.
one thing? I'm really feeling thirsty and my water is over. I'll be back in 2 minutes. If you can please engage them for 2 minutes, is that okay?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
great. I'll just be back, okay? Thanks.
Yeah. So anybody would like to say something about like the presentation so far, or you want me to take like 1-2 names? But I really don't want to just target someone. But if anybody, they themselves would like to talk, just to say that yes, you guys are there, actively available.
No video.
Yeah, that's nice to good to hear your voice. So I'll request you to motivate Lakshman also. He's taking so many the same trainings, right? So when he will hear you guys, so he'll feel motivated. right? So if in between when he asks you something, if you say yes, we are there, yeah, we are able to understand or something, so that will motivate him to take more sessions like this, which will be helpful for us.
Okay.
Chenna Reddy, you are there? Okay, you are on mute. Okay, I think he just logged in. Jyotsana? Jyotsna, you're there? I'm sure Astha is there.
Yeah, hi,
Yes,
Swati.
Swati. Yeah, Swati.
Okay, so Chenna Reddy is back.
Yeah,
Good, good, good.
I was.
Basavia?
Yeah, Swati.
Yeah, so you have already unmuted, and so that like if Swati is going to take my name, so I should be ready to talk.
No, not like that.
But it's good to know that you guys are actually attentively listening and trying to understand what Lakshman is trying to share about the presentation. See, going forward, it might possible that during some or other instances, we might ask you to showcase details on presentation, right? So
Okay.
all this information and tips will be helpful for you while preparing presentation, because many a times we feel that, okay, how much matter we need to mention in a presentation, whether more of a images or more of a matter has to be there, right? To balance that timing arrangements, because it's not only just sending invite and presenting it, as Lakshman was stating, the location and the arrangements and all those things also we have to take care. Gopal Rao Garu, so anything you would like to add on from your end? You would like to give some tips to us? Okay, I can, you are there. Gopal, would you like to give some tips to us?
Oops, 1 minute.
So Lakshman seems to be back. Komal, would you like to share some of your any experiences, or like when you have prepared maybe at a college time or during your employment? Okay. Komal, you're there? I think now it's motivating me to make sure that everybody is coming to office. There I can see everybody physically. Now I can't even hear you guys.
Hi, Swati.
Hi.
Yeah.
We are there, Swati.
Yeah. Muskan is there. I can hear you. Komal, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here, Swati.
Lakshman, this is motivating me more to call people to office so that I can see them in person, to make sure that yes, they are there, they're awake and they are there. It's not that they just logged into the training call.
Yeah. I'm sick and tired of seeing the black triangles. At least I can see people when next time when they come.
Hopefully from Monday we can see some more faces in
So
office.
what is the date you have mentioned from when it's mandatory for everyone to come to office?
4th October, Monday. See, Lakshman is very much happy. I know many people might be cursing me for this.
Yeah. There are some good curses also, don't worry.
And that's the problem with my position, like HR's job role. Can't help it. So Lakshman, you can continue with the session.
You can? Okay, thank you. So actually part of presentation skills, I failed on one thing. Can you tell me what? I didn't fill my bottle in advance, right? So I want to make sure that everything that I need is ready before I start the presentation, but I forgot. And second mistake I did, I filled the bottle. Then I said, okay, let me go to the nature's call. I went there, I forgot the bottle. So again, I went and got the bottle. So anyways, so no wasted time. I'm sure Swati has engaged you well in my absence. So we have covered, first part is planning, right? In planning comes agenda, place, notice, a great time, medium, tool, everything, right? So let's go into the next one, preparing, right? So in preparing, most important, gathering material, applicable material, apt material, relevant material is very, very important for you to prepare. When you're preparing for a presentation, people like to hear interesting things, right? You want to have facts and you want to have them presented in a very nice way. right? So the source of the material also is very, very important. Content of the presentation makes all the difference. You want to make sure that the content is addressing their concerns also, right? Next, source of the information. You have to tell them from where you got the information. A lot of times people are busy showing the facts, but they don't bother with the source. Today, the whole world is misguided because nobody is looking at the source. People think what is written in Google is true. How many of you feel that whatever that you Google and the information that you get is true?
No, not all.
What is the difference between Google and say, for example, a scripture, right? Something like Vedas. What is the difference between Google and Vedas?
Vedas are experienced and written.
Yes,
Google
and
is
they're
just
written by a
assumptions.
person. And they're written
Yes,
by a
it's
person.
Google is just assumptions.
Right? Anybody can write anything. Like Wikipedia, you can go and update anything you want. Right? People can update anything, and that doesn't become the truth. Even the news channels today, they cannot be presenting the truth. For knowing the truth, you want to go and ask the person who is part of the news, right? And for example, Vedas, they are written by great saints, and their name is given. Like Veda Vyas has written the Vedas, right? And there are Samhitas, Itihasas, Puranas, Aranyakas, so many contents, and everything has an author, as a clear author. And the beauty is the author takes responsibility for what he's writing. In Google, who takes the responsibility? Tell me. If you tell me the symptoms of corona, if that's what you write in Google, I can tell you all of you will faint because almost all of you have those symptoms even right now. Right? So who takes the responsibility of all of this? When people get admitted thinking that they have it, if they just Google and go, never Google the symptoms of a disease. Because, it'll also be like, one of the symptoms of cancer is sometimes you feel very tired and, you feel sleepy. How many of you have cancer here going with that symptom? Right? Almost everybody, right? So that's why Google is not the source of truth. So in the same way, when you're presenting material in your presentations, you want to tell what is the source, right? You can tell, I have taken it from SAP system as of this date, or I've taken it from Oracle system, or I've taken it from this journal, or I've taken it from this particular research laboratory, I've taken it from this magazine. You want to present the source. Very, very important. Next, look for the point of view of the audience, right? It's very important that the audience point of view matches with the source and information that you're presenting. Otherwise, it's not relevant at all. Avoid controversial material being discussed in the presentations. You don't want to discuss something very controversial, right? Like last time, when you're presenting the plan, of this time's go live, you don't have to tell last time's go live got delayed because of Mr. Albert or Mr. Qureshi or Miss whatever Mamata, because of these three people last time's go live got delayed. That's a very controversial topic. You don't want to bring that up, right? In your presentation, you want to do only the right thing. You want to speak very positive things in your presentation. Yeah. So garbage in is garbage out, right? So when you're gathering material, if you're gathering garbage, you're going to give garbage also. You can't convert garbage into something useful. So be very careful while you're gathering material, right? Next, like related journals, previous meeting notes, World Wide Web, personal notes. Yeah, all this thing is good. So decision prompts, this very important thing. When you are preparing for the presentation, in between, you want to write decision prompts, meaning I want to stop here, get this decision, and then go move forward. You know what I'm saying? Indirectly, you're making people take a decision for you to move forward. So decision prompts are very, very important, right? You prompt people at this point, we have to decide this, right? You have to give the time for people to decide. All this should be part of your presentation planning and while you prepare for it, right? Decision prompts, very, very important. Decide the prompts. Prompts are the tools to remember the key points. At this point, I'm going to talk this. You can write it down. You can say slide number 3. How many of you write slide notes? In PowerPoint, there's something called slide notes. In the bottom, you can write, while I'm presenting this slide, I can read these notes. I have to present these notes. It's very important. Too many prompts can be confusing also, right? If you keep too many prompts, you will be confused. What do you want to achieve at each prompt? Only few prompts are important, right? And prompt should be short and should convey your action clearly, very clearly. At this point, this is what I want to convey, and these are the decisions I expect. Very, very clear. Best prompts are those which audience will not understand, but you will. It should be a surprise sometimes, right? You know that what time you want to call for the question and get the decision. I'm telling you, some of the things I might tell might be sounding subjective to you all, but this. But remember that when you break your audience, just like when we play cricket, right? The moment you cross the like in a 50-over game, the moment you get into batting, the first 15 overs you can hit anywhere, right? Only two fielders are outside the ring. So your prompt is next 15 overs, start hitting the ball in the air. And as soon as 15 overs gets over, your prompt is you don't want to hit in the air, you want to get in the gaps because now there are more gaps. People will be spread out. And when you reach the 41st over or 42nd over, your prompt is start hitting again, right? So prompt means you are going to change your action at a certain time because that is the best time to make it work. You know what I'm saying, right? So right timing of a prompt is equal to best impactful point, right? Your point is very impactful when you tell it at the right time. See, at the beginning of the presentation itself, we should not make the most powerful statement. Let the presentation flow, and when the right time comes, hit it. Say that point at that time, so it really becomes impactful. Next, deep dive, right? For preparing is visual aids. As we discussed, use graphs. Don't use too much content. Use animations. Very good. Use pictures. Picture should not be offensive to anybody. It should be nice, respectful. Visual should not distract people. Also, don't keep a visual that everybody is just looking at visual only. They're not looking at you. It should not be distractive, right? One picture speaks million words, right? A famous saying. Yeah. So see this. This visual says everything, right? What he's saying, what he wants to say, what he doesn't want to speak, right? The three monkeys of Gandhiji. Now look at this. Now I'm going to ask some questions to you. This is too detailed. This is also too detailed. This is also too detailed. How you can simplify this? Does this look simpler as compared to all of this? Yes, it looks simpler. You just made a huge set of points into few. Now this looks too detailed. What is wrong with this? Can anybody tell? What is wrong with this?
More of numbers.
Too big numbers also, isn't it?
Yeah, very big numbers. We can
Who
just
wants
make it
to?
short.
Yeah, just make it short. Who cares whether it is 11, 11 million, 5 lakh, 32,000, just say 11 million. That's enough. You know what I'm saying? Just make it simple. Goa, 3, 16, 16. That's enough. You don't have to tell the whole number. It makes it very simple. How can you simplify this? Just by putting it like, remove all this grid, right? Remove too many, graph, like division of graph is like 5, 10, 15. Just make it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And here you have too many months, like just keep it few months. You don't have to present all the months at a time, right? So you can simplify things and you can make them look better, right? Visual aids. Next, sequence of the steps. Presentation. Best presentations in the world are the best storybooks. Now, everything has to have a story, my dear friends. When you want to tell somebody something, it has to start from the need, right? The solution and the benefit. What is it? Need, solution, benefit. Need, solution, benefit. There should be a very, very clear flow. Like sometime back, I was talking to you about one tool called SIPOC. You remember that, right? Supplier, input, process, customer. Right? I told all your process diagrams, you can put it in that template called SIPOC. And when you do that, all the things are captured. So that is also a good presentation technique. You want to make sure that you call all the suppliers who are going to give you things, all the inputs that you will get, and the process that you will do, and the output that will create, and the final customers will benefit. Right? So all the things come in a sequence when it comes to a presentation. It should be the best story. Right? I mean, look at our own friends, when you meet a friend and he tells you an incident, how does he start? He starts with a story, right? He tells this, hey, you know what happened? This happened, that happened, and finally, this is how I feel. That is also a presentation. Don't think that's not a presentation. Presentation means you're articulating things in a very sequential way, in a methodical way, in an easily understandable way. Flow of presentation should ultimately bring everyone to the same conclusion. That's the point, right? People might be here, people might be here, but all of them slowly you're bringing them to a single point. So you are driving the presentation. So when you're telling a story, everybody comes along with that story and finally meets you at one point. So that's very, very important. Wrong sequence can lead, like entire message can be reversed if you put a wrong sequence, right? You don't want to start, for example, when, say again, I like Mahabharata a lot, so when something like Bhagavad Gita is a message, a great philosophical message that was given by Krishna to Arjuna when? At the end of Mahabharata, right? So if you want to give Mahabharata to somebody, if you want to give Bhagavad Gita to somebody, that person should know something about Mahabharata. Very important. That is how even God planned it. He wants to give the greatest, toughest statements, but he didn't directly give it. What did he do? He created a whole family called Kurus, in that he divided them into Kauravas and Pandavas, and then there was a tussle, then there were arguments, then there were fights, and finally, both of them came to the battlefield. And at that time, Arjuna is remembering that all these people are my friends. All these people, whom I'm going to fight are actually my relatives, my cousins. How can I kill them? And then Krishna, who is God running the chariot, comes in the front and gives the greatest philosophy. And he says that you're doing it for a higher purpose, right? Now, people who go through the entire Mahabharata properly can understand Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand why is somebody speaking such heavy statements. A lot of times people think that, if I read Bhagavad Gita, I'll go into fighting. No, it's not about fighting scripture. It's actually about love and peace, but it also talks about duty, dharma, karma. It talks about many things like that. So a good storytelling is very important when you want to present a big fact, right? You want to tell all this is going wrong, all this is going wrong, all this will keep going wrong if you don't fix this, right? If you directly talk about the fix, nobody is interested. But if you talk about all the things why it has to be put and this fix is good, everybody will sign up for that. So storytelling is very, very important. Audience will appreciate your clarity in thought when sequence is logical, right? When they see that you are bringing them to a certain point, your sequence is clear, your presentation is strong, then they will also understand that you are very clear on what you want to say, right? So your story, audience attention, like for example, look at this. This was also a presentation done millions of years ago, right? Right. In the caves, if you go and see, they also had different presentation techniques. So write your presentation in this order: requirement, objective, beginning or introduction, main topics, which includes your process, your people, your plan, your roadmap, your resources, then summary and conclusion, question, answers, and next steps. Right? See, if you put these 7 steps in your presentation, you are not going to go wrong. Right? Just simple. If somebody asks you to make a presentation, make 7 blank slides. Just 7 blank slides. Okay. First slide, write down requirement. Second slide, write down objective. What is the difference between objective and requirement? Requirement is what the customer wants. Objective is, in this presentation, what are you going to address? You cannot address the whole thing, but what part of it you want to address? So here is a requirement, here is objective, right? And then introduction to the problem statement, right? You can write down. Third slide, just write introduction. And fourth slide, you're going to talk about who are the people who are going to address it, what is the process you're going to adapt, what is the plan, roadmap, resources, all those things. In the fourth slide. Fifth slide, what is the heading? What is your conclusion? Knowing that this is a problem, knowing that this is a plan, here is my conclusion, that we can finish it in this much time. And next, question answers. Make sure you have a slide for that, where people ask. And finally, action items. Next step. So it's so easy to make a presentation. Sometimes people are like, how do I make presentation? Where should I start? Simple. Open your PowerPoint, make 7 slides, write this as titles: requirement, objective, introduction, basic contents, summary, question answers, and next steps, or minutes of the meeting, or action points. And then you start filling them up. You'll eventually see that there is a good sequence to it. Are you following what I'm saying? Any questions here? I hope we understood. But I'll say that out of this presentation, this is one takeaway you can take. So every time you have to make a presentation, what is the first thing you want to do? Open a PowerPoint, make 7 blank slides. Right? Keep a title of all those 7 blank slides and then start filling them up. And you'll realize that you actually made a good presentation. But if you just start typing in whatever you want and you feel that at the end it will become a nice presentation, it will not. Because these are the 7 things that should be there in every presentation. What is the requirement? What is your objective? What is your goal rather of this presentation? What is the introduction about the problem statement? Why are you making the presentation? And how are you going to solve it? Which includes people, resources, plan, blah, 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 all those things. And then finally, what is your conclusion? And then question answers, and then finally action items, right? So this is how your sequence of presentation should be, right? Sequence steps. Are you all clear on this?
Yes,
Yes, Lakshmi.
Yeah.
Yes, Lakshmi.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now next, formatting. Come on, spend some time. Don't make people cry with your formatting, right? Use the most easily understandable vocabulary, right? You don't have to use those Roman letters, and Romans have died. Let them be buried there. You don't have to use that in your presentations. Your font should be such that even a child can understand. Okay, even a child can understand. The moment you see that, clear, crystal clear. Have you seen the fonts that I use? Very simple fonts like Arial, like Calgary, something like that I use. I don't use complicated fonts. It should be very clear. How well you present depends on how well you're organized. Simple fonts, colors. You don't want to make it like a Rangila presentation also. Like 20 colors in one slide. Come on. It's not also needed, right? You want to maintain a pattern. You want to maintain a commonness, right? Use the bullets wherever possible. Use the bullet. Don't see the whole thing that I want to mention here. How am I presenting? If you see, I'm putting small bullets, then I'm putting a big bullet. Are you seeing that everywhere? Are you observing that? For everything, I'm concluding with a big bullet, right? So don't crowd on the slide. Now the big one comes. Neatness is equal to importance shown to the receiver, right? So this is like a punchline. You can see this bullet is like a punchline for entire formatting, right? And the punchline was there for each one of them in the past also. This is a good technique. It's also a technique that you're telling all those things, so people might forget all these 4 points, but they will not forget this 1 point. You following what I'm doing here?
Yes.
Right? So you want to make sure the punchline is bolded, right? Or it is big. This is the carry home item that you want to give to people, right? Formatting means neatness. Importance shown to the receiver. See, if you want to respect the receiver, you want to format your presentation properly. Okay, what is the time? Yeah. You're on time. Game plan. You need to have a good game plan. Game plan is needed to achieve any objective. Game plan means how you're going to use, each person in the hall to win your point, right? So you want to make sure that you have some supporters, and you have some people who will also carry on with your points. Basically, you prepare a whole game plan how you want to achieve what you want to achieve. You can't go blindfolded into a presentation and say that I'll win everybody's heart. No, it's not going to work like that. You have to have a game plan. You want to make sure that your favorable candidates are sitting in the meeting. Then only you will win the meeting. At the end of the day, you're not dealing with electronic items, you're dealing with people. Plan should be made to create interest and win their confidence, right? And finally, game is not to mislead, it's to direct the flow, right? You want to make sure that the right people speak at the right time. You're calling this person at this time to speak, you're calling that person at that time to speak. All this has a reason why you do that. So you call for a lot of people to come and present, but you also decide the sequence in which they're going to present, right? Questions too, very important. It's very important to engage audience throughout the presentation. You have to ask the questions. And the most difficult one is online presentation, because you don't know when to question, because you don't know who is sleeping, who's snoring. If I ask all of you to open your mute, I don't know what sounds will I hear. So I don't know what you're doing, right? I'm just assuming that you're hearing. But when you're presenting, you want to make sure that you ask questions to your audience. Your audience knows what you're saying. The flow of attention level keeps going down every 10 minutes. Understand that. See, I don't look like Amitabh Bachchan or Dharmender to attract you, right? I mean, I look like a normal guy. So I want to make sure that I am keeping your attention. Every 10 minutes, people are dying, in the presentation. Somebody already, I can see 15 people dead. We were like 16 or 45. So 15 are gone. So why they are gone? I don't know, because I couldn't keep their attention, as simple as that, right? So you want to make sure that that people's attention keeps going down every 10 minutes, right? You can see that, right? See, earlier people used to watch YouTube videos, right? People used to watch YouTube videos. Now they don't have patience for YouTube videos. Now they want short videos in the YouTube videos, right? Like 15 seconds, maximum attention time. After that, keep going to the next one. So that is what people, I don't know, later, another 5 years down the line, people will just see a picture and feel, oh, and then go to the next picture. I don't know. So from picture to video and finally to picture again, because you don't have patience, right? See, a test match became a one day international became a 2020. I think it will become 5-5 at some time. And maybe at the end of the day, it will be a toss. Okay, let's have a toss, go and have party. So no patience for anything, right? So, so just like relationships, love at first sight, divorce at first fight. Right? Forget about it. Let's have fun at the small time. So questions, very important to engage your audience. Your planned questions will only engage them, will not only engage them, basically, but they will also feel participative. Very important. When your audience is speaking, that means they're participating. If they are dormant, not speaking, you don't know what's going on, right? Questions to them will keep you on the driver's seat, right? So if you question them, they will answer. So you feel that, okay, things are going right. So you're well situated in the seat. So what is the punchline? Your questions before they question, you question before they question for answer, right? So you can ask their questions in advance, right? Okay, I think you also have this question like that. I think I already know your question. This is a good thing to prepare. You're already preparing their questions before the question, right? So that way you're covering up, all angles, right? So now finally presenting, right? So we talked about planning, preparing, and presenting. In presenting, audience needs. We discussed already about this. I'm not going to spend too much time. You want to know, what the audience expect and how you can present it. Don't propose any conclusion before you deliver what is expected. Punchline, goal of the presentation, audience needs. You have to make sure your audience needs are addressed. Stakeholders buy-ins. Before you bring in the stakeholders, pura buttering kar do, pura masala de do. Let them support you even before you call them for a presentation. You know what I'm saying, right? Take them out for a coffee, tea, whatever it takes. Come on, please agree. Okay, agreed. Okay, now let's come for the presentation. Right? So you don't want to sit there and call 20 people and become a bakra. That you start asking, everybody objects you. Like, hey, I never knew that you'll object me. Hey, this is very bad. You are my friend. Hey, this is all that is nonsense. You do your preparation before the presentation. You tell your boss, I'm going to do this. Sir, do you agree? Yes, I agree. Okay, great. You go and agree. Sir, you will. Okay, great. Okay, agree. Now call 10 people and feel like a hero. Everybody's agreeing. See how powerful I am. Right? So all that happens when you prepare well in advance. You take the buy-in in advance. Are you following what I'm saying? Yeah, very important. Very, very important. Right? So if you want to make your mother-in-law, agree for a lot of things, what do you do? If you have a mother-in-law.
Guys, please tell. Not
I
only girls.
take her for shopping.
Yes.
Oh, you'll take her for shopping.
You want to do the right things, before you get the buy-in. Make sure your father-in-law agrees. Make sure your husband agrees. Make sure your children are backing up. Make sure everything is there.
These days, woman empowers, right? Everything is in woman's hand, so nothing is there in men's hand.
Why do you say these days? Since the beginning, it was like that only.
Earlier, I don't know, but once I got married, I know.
Okay, so stakeholders buy-ins. As I said, often presenters enter into an arena hoping to win, but it's not possible. You have to win before you start the battle. I'll tell you in Mahabharata, a great example. Even before the war started, Yudhishthir walked right to the Kauravas, stood in front of Bhishma, in front of Drona, and he said, please bless me that I'll win. What a political strategy. Just imagine. You're going to the battlefield. In front of the enemy, you're standing and saying, please bless me that I'll win. And what did they do? Vijay Praptirastu. Khatam. And Duryodhana is like scratching his head. What nonsense is this? You are my people and you're telling them that, he is going to win. Are you on my side or his side? Right? That is called tactic. That is really, look at it. How did they kill each one of them, Pandavas, right? They went and asked Bhishma, how should we kill you? What can be a better political statement than that, right? They go to Bhishma and say, how shall we kill you? You have to tell us how to kill you. And they were so nice in asking that he said, okay, bring Shikhandi and I can't lift my weapons in front of a woman. And by the way, this is how you bring her. And tomorrow is my last day. wow, I mean, so much to learn, right? Before you present, bring your shikhandis in the room, and make sure that all the bhishmas are down, right? As simple as that. You have to make sure that your audience is yours, stakeholders are yours, even before you start it, right? Real presentation is before the actual presentation. That's the punchline here. You want to present everybody, and then when you go into the conference room, you're just presenting it like that. Everybody says, okay, 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 right? I still remember there was a very nice project manager I've learned this from. Her name was Sheila Atkins, right? Sheila Atkins. She was like a half German and half American. And me and her, we worked almost 5 years together, and many projects we worked together. An amazing thing about Sheila was, even before the presentation, she would go and speak to everybody on the floor. And nicely she'll go, she'll go with a coffee, she'll stand there. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, Mark. Hey, David. Hey, George. How is that? Okay, everything is fine. I'm doing this. What do you feel? No, okay, okay, I understand. You feel, I feel. She'll make everybody feel. And finally, when the project manager, the meeting will start, everybody will say, yes, Sheila, I agree. Yes. I used to wonder, how is she doing this? And I learned from her that she's so good at doing it. She will go and informally get everybody's buy-in. Informally. It's not even formal. And when everybody comes to the meeting, they're all her audience, right? I mean, great project management skill you should learn from. I learned from her, right? Helpers and aids. No, this is very important. Now, please focus on this. You can't do everything. You can't do everything. One person can't do everything. Don't be in that blind belief. Oh, I can do everything. You know what? It's my presentation. I'll do it. No, you need help. When you're presenting, you need sometimes when you're running big presentations, you need somebody to make notes, right, on your behalf. You need somebody to click the slide, because you can't keep coming to the computer and click the slide. So you can say, when I say like this, click the slide. He'll click the slide, right? You want to make sure the right people sit at right place so that, the focus happens. So you need a lot of aid. You need a lot of help. So don't hesitate to ask, right? Never hesitate to ask for a help. You can't drive it alone. Audience gains more confidence when they see a big team effort, right? When you see that everybody is supporting you and you are doing it, they will gain confidence. Punchline: smart people have people. Smart people have people. Remember that. Smart people are not the people who say that I'll do everything. No, I will use whoever is available for the right purpose, right? Let's go. We are just a couple of slides away. Learn body language, very important. Don't stand still without any movement. Some people present like this. Today, I want to present that this is what is the most important thing, and tomorrow also you should learn. This nonsense presentation. You can't stand still like a statue, right? And biting nails and covering face like Manoj Kumar like this. No, that's not going to work. You have to make sure that you are absolutely active and you're available, right? Your body language should be like, yes, I'm available. You shouldn't be so authoritative also, like a big gunda. I'm telling this, you better understand. That's not a way to present also, right? I mean, you want people to feel comfortable to answer to you, right? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes too authoritative. Like your boss comes out and says, I'm telling you all, if you don't agree, it's not going to work. Is this a good presentation? That's nonsense presentation. Like, obviously nobody will speak if he speaks like that, right? You want to win confidence, so you want to be more approachable, right? Chewing gum, candy. Some people come. They like like eating something in the presentation. No, that's not right. Standing too casually also, it's not right. Just ekdam so ke baat karo. Aisa bhi kaam nahi hota. You have to be formal. At the same time, you have to feel more accessible. One picture speaks million words. Again, how you picturize yourself, right? So body speaks everything. For example, this person is neutral posture. If somebody is sitting in your presentation like this, that means he's neutral. You know what I'm saying, right? He's like, okay, he wants to listen. Somebody sitting like this, which means negative posture. You know what? Whatever you say, I'm not going to agree. One of the postures, if people sit like this, that's like, as good as you don't care. It's not going to work, right? So body language speaks a lot of things. When you see people like this person, he's like confused whether to agree, whether not to agree, whether not to agree. But the most favorable person is this interested posture. Okay, tell me what you want to tell more, right? So if somebody is sitting like this, you will win your presentation. You want to bring people from here to here, right? Interested posture. So there are many body languages, right? Now this is something like agreement posture, right? They are ready to agree whatever that you're going to tell. So body language really matters. Then practice until the presentation, go to the hall before in time, right? You want to go to the hall, don't go 1 minute before, go sometime. You can breathe a little, especially when you're presenting to big audience. Like sometimes, some colleges call me for some presentations. Once I had presented in Bits Pilani, and there were like 600 people, and they told me that 600 people are coming. I was like, why? 600 people, I'm going to present. Then I said, I'll go 15 minutes in advance. So I went to that hall. I was just looking at that big auditorium, and I breathed for some time. Some pranayama is good, in that very place. Just breathe for some time, walk around a little, and feel the place. And then after that, even 6,000 people comes, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to enter the hall like a hero with 600 people. It will not work. You want to breathe it out. You want to feel comfortable at that place, right? Okay. Rehearsal. You can do rehearsals. You can speak out some things that you want to present. No thinking while presenting. Finally, present it. This is the last step that you have to do. Present it, right? So start with a bang on. I'll tell you one of the best techniques you can do. Start with a joke. Just start with a joke. Make it light, right? Make it very simple. Like people will simply relax. Everybody will relax. Start with a nice light statement, or start with a story, that people will feel, this is nice, something like that, So start with the icebreaker, like a joke. I said, tell one incident that happened last 24 hours. Don't tell an incident that happened like 20 years back. 24 hours back, what happened? Just tell one incident, right? And then follow the flow of the presentation. Don't deviate. Ensure audience interest throughout, right? So develop the interest. Keep developing the interest. It keeps going down, bringing it up. Going down, bringing it up, right? Audience doesn't stay at one place. Strategies: posing questions, telling stories, taking pause, varying voice levels. All these things part of your. When you do that, again, you maintain the level. So level keeps going down. By doing these 4 things, you see the level here. You bring all of them up, right? You constantly maintain the audience. Okay. So some additional points: preparation time. Before preparation, I wish I had time. This was actually a 3-hour presentation, but I was trying to finish it fast. But anyway, the slide will be there in the recording. You can pause it and you can read. Most of the tips I've already discussed. But what is the preparation time before presentation, during presentation, after presentation, and question answer? Some very good tips that you can take home, right? So 5 essential things: call your audience to action, refer back to the opening message, don't end with questions, make it clear that you've finished, right? And record the minutes. These 5 things are very important while you do it, right? So, make it clear that I'm finishing it now. Otherwise, people don't know whether you finished or not also. And don't end with questions. What do you mean? Like, too many people make this question, when you get a negative question, you're dull, the whole presentation just stops. Don't end your presentation like that. You want to end it at a positive note, right? Refer back to the opening message. So why you started the presentation? This is why I started, this is how I'm ending. And finally, record the minutes, right? Very important. So summary: the only sure way to create a successful presentation is to begin with your goal in mind, right? With your goal in mind. What was my goal and why did I start the presentation and how did I come till here, right? And these are the things that we discussed in detail. 3 stages of presentation, right? Present, prepare, plan. In plan, we have a clear goal, fixed agenda, select audience, convenient place, agreed timeline, medium, and tools. In prepare, gather material, visualize, sequence steps, decision prompts, formatting, game plan, and questions. In presenting, we have audience, needs, stakeholders, buy-in, helpers, etc., etc. I've already done it. We've gone through this, right? Practice until perfection. Finally, present it. So it's all about audience, guys. It's all about audience. Presentation means all about audience. There's nothing more than that. All about audience. A presentation is not a PowerPoint. You are the presentation. You yourself are the presentation, right? So make sure that you are confident. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse until you succeed. Keep going, right? And it will never work completely the first time. Trust me. First time you're going to try all these things in a presentation, it will not work. Second time it will not work, but finally it will work. Finally, now I want you to sign this. Everybody repeat after me. I promise to never design a presentation that sucks ever again, right? You all have to sign this and mail it to me. Can you do that?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, please sign it because you don't want to torture people with your presentations. Okay? Once again, I promise to never design a presentation that sucks ever again, right? You want to write it very clearly, sign it with your name, and for the rest of your life, don't prepare a presentation just for the sake of it. Make it a winning presentation and impactful presentation, right? So I'm not sure whether to ask any more questions. So, and it's already time crossed. So I'll take one question if anybody has, otherwise we'll wrap up. Was it useful? Applicable?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, it is very useful.
Okay. So we'll wrap up then. Swati, you want to say anything? We're done? I just saw her walking out of her room. That's fine. Yeah. So thank you very much for your time and have a nice weekend.
Okay.
And, come back with feedback. And next week, hope to see you for a different topic.
Thank you, Lakshman.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Lakshman.
sir.
Thank you.
Happy weekend, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Lakshman.
Thank you.